All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Booze and Hacking. I am your host, Dark Hoodie, and we are back with another TryHackMe room. This one is called Investigating Windows. We're going to be doing a little forensics today, it looks like. So, let's read what this says. A Windows machine has been hacked. It's your job to go investigate this Windows machine and find clues as to whatever this says, as to what the hacker might have done. All right, and I've got my IP address here, and this says this is a challenge. That is exactly what it says on the tin. There are a few challenges around investigating a Windows machine that has been previously compromised. When I launched the room, it automatically opened up the compromised machine. So I will not be using RDP as this has already opened up for me. And there is a list of questions for us to answer. So we're going to be doing some blue teaming today. But first, let's talk about what we're drinking. What you are looking at is homemade. This is called coquito, and it is drank during the holiday season. Happy holidays, everybody. It is essentially my family recipe for coquito, and I won't tell you what's in it, but I will tell you it is the Puerto Rican version of eggnog, and it is coconut flavored, and it is absolutely delicious. Every family on the island has their own version, and so if you have not had this before, I would say definitely seek out one of your Puerto Rican friends. There is a very good chance that they have their own recipe that they use. There are store-bought versions. I have not had any. As a very cultural Puerto Rican, we don't buy the ones that you find in stores. We make our own. So if you're in the mood for a drink, by all means, pour yourself something and let's get into the room. So the first question is, what's the version and year of the Windows machine? So we are going to use PowerShell for that, so I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And to get the answer to the question, we're going to enter a PowerShell command, get computer info. So as you see, there's a lot of detail here. And our question is, what's the version and year of the Windows machine? So we need to get a little more specific about this. So let's repeat that last command, but we are going to add property OS. And of course, I already have an error message here. Maybe I don't need the wildcard, or maybe I do. Oh, there's my problem. I misspelled. and it looks like Windows Server 2016. Let's pump that in. Let's get into answering this stuff. So I'm going to say Windows Server 2016. All right, got my first question answered. Which user logged in last? So in order to answer this, we have to figure out who the users are. So I'm going to do get dash local user. All right. So here are all our accounts: administrator, the default account, which is not enabled, a guest account, which is, and Jenny and John. So let's see. Now that we know this, now that we have our list, we're going to do net. I think it's net user. Let's start with Jenny and pipe find string colon last, and we're going to run this for all of them. So Jenny's never logged in. All right, so that's important to know. Let's run through all of them. Let's go to John. All right. And now let's go to guest. Okay. And after guest, default account. I know it's disabled, but I'm going to check it anyway. And lastly, administrator. Okay, so we have Jenny and administrator as the ones who were the last ones in. And it looks like the admin was the most recent one. Let's type his name in there. All right. When did John log onto the system last? Let's look up John. So we have here March 2nd of 2019, and here's the time. So let's see if we can enter all that in. I'm not sure what that mem.exe is, but we're going to find out what that is. In the meantime, we have, actually maybe I can copy and paste this. Huh. I got something wrong here. I think I have to put a 0. 03 02 2019. I have hour, minutes, seconds, and then PM. All right, that's what it was. Okay, so what IP does the system connect to when it first starts? What IP does the system connect to when it first starts? So I think for that, we're going to have to go to the host file. I'm going to use Windows Explorer for this. C, and we're going to go Windows and System 32 and drivers and Etsy. And in Etsy we see the host file. So I'm going to double click that and use Notepad to have a look. Let's drag that over. So right away, as I look at this, we see some red flags here. For example, a lot of these sites seem to be going back to the loopback address. So that is precarious. So we need to investigate that. Look at all this stuff, all pointing back to the loopback address. Okay, let's think about this for a minute. So with this in mind, this seems to be a lot of DNS poisoning. Let's go to the registry. We might be able to get some answers from there. Okay, regedit it is. So let's go local machine, which is already right here. Software. Microsoft. Windows. See if I can pull that open a bit. Windows and current version and run. And there is our original IP address. Let's pump that in, see if we're right. 10.34.2.3. And we're in. All right. What two accounts had admin privileges other than the administrative user? That's interesting. So we're going to go back to PowerShell. Let's minimize the regedit. And to do this, let's do get dash local group member dash group administrators. So it looks like the guest account and Jenny have admin privileges. So that is not cool. So, but we will do this. So let's see, Jenny and guest. All right, we're on a roll. What's the name of the scheduled task that is malicious? So there's a malicious task on here. So it's telling us to look up scheduled tasks. So we're going to do get dash scheduled task. And there's a lot here to look at. Let's start at the top. There's Amazon EC2 launch, and that's disabled though. Check logged in, clean file system. So there's some pretty weird looking stuff up here. It's got no path. The rest here will all look pretty normal. We need to shorten this somehow. So the command for that and in case you're wondering, I did research this room before making this video, which is why I have these commands off the top of my head. So let's never underestimate the power of doing research. OSINT, right? So let's do get dash scheduled and I'm going to pipe this where, and man, I got to figure out what this TPM is. Curly bracket, $, underscore, dot, task, path, space, dash, EQ, quote, quote, and backslash quote, curly bracket. Let's see if this works. Nope. Maybe I didn't need this space. Let's see. Nope. Let's look at this again. I misspell things, so get scheduled. I forgot the word task. I am the king of syntax errors. Let's put that space back. Alright, still got an error message. And I forgot the word where. Okay. So now here's just what we did was we ran a command to get the scheduled tasks where the path only has a backslash, which is what you see right here. And clean file system looks like it might be suspect, so let's try that one. Clean file system. What file was the task trying to run daily? Okay. So this is similar to the command that we just ran. So what I'm going to run is and our question is, what file was that task trying to run daily? So now I'm going to do this again. I'm going to bring this up again, but I'm going to change something. So now it's going to say where. I'm going to back over this. Right, where task name dash EQ clean file system. Not exactly what I was looking for. Oh, because of course I missed a part. Before get scheduled task, I need to put a certain string in there. And that is $task space equals space. And now I will do $task dot actions. I got to figure this one out too. So this command basically is a one line of code where I'm defining string task to get me information on this clean file system, and then this command outputs the actions of what it's trying to do. And so now it says here it's trying to execute a PowerShell script called nc. So I'm going to say nc.ps1. Alright. What port did this file listen locally for? Okay. That, if you look where it says arguments, it looks like the port number is 1348. Let's go with that, 1348. All right, when did Jenny last log on? Will it say so here? Let's go back. Oh wait, we saw that earlier. Let's go back up to the top, because I got a list of all the logins, right? Jenny has never logged in. Here we have that right here. So I'm going to say never. At what date did the compromise take place? So for this, let's get back down here. For this, I'm going to go back to Windows Explorer. And let's go back to C for a second. A lot of this stuff here, here we have this. I don't know what perf logs is. These all look pretty normal. I'm going to look in perf logs. Admin. Oh. What's in it pub? Ah, this looks suspect. So I'm going to say it's March 2nd of 2019. March 2nd, 2019. And that is correct as well, and I think that's because when I saw this www root folder, these do not look proper to me. Neither did perf logs, but that didn't produce anything. So during the compromise, at what time did Windows first assign special privileges to a new logon? For that, we are going to use, you know what? I don't like leaving this open, so I'm going to close registry. We're going to go to the event viewer for that answer. And this is, since this is a security issue, we're going to look at the security logs. So we're going to create a custom view though. So security, but I'm going to create something custom. Man, what is this TPM thing? This must be some kind of cron job that keeps popping up. Create a custom view. So we're going to click on something. We're going to make a range under logged. All right, I have to look at those dates again. I know that March 2nd is one of them. Let's do events on. Let's change this to That was 2019, so March 2nd. And we're only going to look at March 2nd. I have to get the timing right. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Need to look this up. Alright, sorry, had to get the door. So, we were looking at this question. What time did Windows first assign special privileges to the new login? So, if we go back to Windows Explorer, that initpub folder, we see here that there was a modification at 447. Right? Here we 437. So let's get back to our event viewer page and let's do, just to be safe, let's do 4 o'clock, and let's do let's do 5 o'clock. All right, that part is done. Now, what do we want to look at? What kind of event logs do we want? Well, for starters, we want security because that's what we're looking to do. And that should have given me an OK. Let's go back to this again. Select security, put a check mark in it this time, and there's my OK. All right. Let's give it a name. Special log. And hit OK. Alright, so as you see, we got a ton of stuff to look at. I'm going to make this bigger. So I can get a better grasp of what I'm looking at here. So we have 516 events to look at. So I'm going to run to the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to start at the bottom, and then I'm going to be looking at the task category section to see if I see anything unusual. And what I'm going to be looking for is something called security group management. So let's start scrolling up. I see security state change. Security group management. I'm just reading through here. It says print operators. This could be the time. Let's give that a shot. I'm going to copy that. Go back to my page. Alright, I think it just wants the zeros again. Alright, cool. What tool was used to get Windows passwords? So we've been watching, and a command prompt keeps popping up that says ctemp.mim.exe. And let's see if that might be where to look. Now our question is, what tool was used to get passwords? Let's go back here for a second. I'm going to close out of the event viewer. Don't need this anymore, I hope. Now it was saying temp. We were seeing this before. And then mim. So here's the mim.exe. I see something called mim out. Maybe we should look at that and see if there's something here that will tell us something. Mim is short for Mimikatz, of course, because Mimikatz is how you grab passwords. So let's go back to our question, and we'll type in Mimikatz. Sweet, okay. We've got 4 questions left. What was the attacker's external control and command server's IP? C2. All right. So let's get back to this. We don't need this anymore. And we're going to go back to our host file. Windows, System32, drivers, etc, and hosts. Yep, we'll use Notepad and open that sucker up. All right, let's see. Now, let's just look around here for a minute. Now, one of the things that strike me as unusual is that in addition to all this loopback stuff for VirusTotal and www.com, that's all precarious. It's odd that Google is in here, because Google, first of all, those are not the DNS addresses. So that's weird. Going to open up a command prompt for a second and ping and it times out. So this basically tells me that the threat actor is hiding the C2 server this way. So that has to be the C2 server IP address, because that is not Google's. So I'm going to copy this if I can. Let's see if it lets me copy and paste. Yep. Cool. All right. What was the extension name of the shell uploaded via the server's website? So let's get back to this. There's our Mimikatz file. It looks like the extension, they tried to make it seem like a GIF. Could that be it? There's also, what is a JSP file? I think JSP file. It says here file type is a Java server page. Okay, so it's Java. So not sure what Java is doing here, but I'm going to roll the dice and say that's it. .jsp. All right. What was the last port the attacker opened? So in the case like this, one of the things you can do is use Windows Firewall if it's indeed enabled. I wonder if I can launch it from here. Windows Firewall. Can I launch it from there? Nope. Windows Firewall. Okay. So let's have a look around. Inbound rules. So they would be coming into this machine. It would be compromised externally, obviously. So we have to look to see, what was the question again? It was, what was the last port the attacker opened? Let's create a filter. Now there's a lot of rules here, filter by all these different rules, but what we want are rules without a group. And it says here, allow outside connections for development or service firewall. These are not ordinary. Let's look this up. Allow outside connections for development. All right. That is not ordinary. That is dangerous. Here is where the attacker added the port 13331337, and that has to be our port. Okay, check for DNS poisoning. What site was targeted? I feel like it's Google, but let's get out of this first of all. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to our host file. Going to make this bigger so we can look at the whole thing. And our question was, check for DNS poisoning. What site was targeted? Well, it's got to be Google, because all the loopbacks, everything else could not be them, but Google is listed here twice with the C2 server's IP address. So I am going back to here, and I'm going to say google.com. And we're done. So today's lesson was about forensics, about investigating logs. It had everything to do with checking all the sources: PowerShell, regedit, Windows Firewall. All these different things put together make for good investigations. So I hope you enjoyed the time with this room. If you did, I hope that you will like and subscribe. And happy holidays to you all. And I hope to see you all again in the next room. Until then, hack the planet.